Well, greetings, welcome to the show wherever you're watching from across Africa and beyond. Now this week we host African music legend Oliver Mtukudzi, who's been writing songs and performing for over 36 years now. His unique style of music has been dubbed Tuku music, and he's engaged in various efforts to transform Africa. We get his insights into the continent. We also get your views on the issues. And we have Africa's top 10. You're watching the Africa Leadership Dialogues. I'm Julie Gichuru. Mtukudzi first started performing in the music industry in 1977 with the band Wagon Wheels. To date, he's written about 60 songs and recorded numerous albums. He's undoubtedly the most celebrated Zimbabwean musician. Now, he's also worked with the World Health Organization since the 1980s to spread HIV/AIDS awareness. He's a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador on HIV and AIDS awareness in Eastern and Southern Africa as well, and has penned several hits that address HIV and AIDS related issues. We start off this week with one of his most celebrated songs, Todi, where an infected couple discuss their options having found out their HIV status.
Oh, Todi. What shall we do? Sinzinjan.
What shall we do?
Oh, Todi. What shall we do? Sinzinjan.
What shall we do?
Oh, Todi. What shall we do? Sinzinjan.
What shall we do?
Zvinorwadza sei kurera rufu mumaoko. Zvinorwadza sei kuchengeta rufu mumaoko. Vazvababata pamuriri pasina raramo. Vazvapatumbuka pamuriri pasina raramo. Yeah, Todi. What shall we do? Sinzinjan.
What shall we do?
Oh, Todi. What shall we do? Sinzinjan.
What shall we do?
Yeah, Todi. What shall we do? Sinzinjan.
What shall we do?
Oh, Todi. What shall we do? Sinzinjan.
What shall we do?
Yeah, Todi. What shall we do? Sinzinjan.
What shall we do?
Zvinorwadza sei kubhinywa newaugere naye. Zvinorwadza sei kubhinywa neakabvisa pfuma.
powerful song sparking discussion and raising awareness on HIV and AIDS. But what are Oliver Mtukudzi's thoughts on development in Africa? Let's hear now from Oliver. Oliver, thank you so much for making time for the Africa Leadership Dialogues. We're honored to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Let's start with your perspectives on artists, musical artists, our musicians on the continent. What role do you think you play in shaping the perspectives and the value systems of Africans?
As an artist, I think the purpose of being an artist, the purpose of being purpose of song, should I say, if I could speak on behalf of musicians, the purpose of song is to give life and hope to the people, is to heal the broken hearts, and that's the purpose of an artist.
It's to heal the broken hearts. But
Yes.
You said that Africa has been through some very tough times. 5 decades ago, 4 decades ago, 3 decades ago, we were seeking independence. We've gone through a growth process. We do still have some conflicts on the continent. If you are saying that music is about healing the soul, then our musicians should be prevalent in everything we do, yet somehow it seems we don't celebrate our music enough.
That's where the problem is. Like in my case, my music, I should say the umbrella that covers whatever I talk about in every song of mine is self-discipline. And my translation of self-discipline is to be able to respect the next person. If we can do that, we'll have less conflicts. Yes, we can think differently, think otherwise, can be in different religions and so on. As long as we understand that I have to respect the next person, I don't think we'll get to conflicts that will end up as wars, as fights, and so on.
It's about understanding that we may have different perspectives, different viewpoints,
Exactly.
different beliefs, but that's okay.
That's okay. It's flavor of life.
Just looking at Zimbabwe today and your role, you've shaped a whole generation, and your music, which is called Tuku music, it's been named, What's most memorable for you, and what do you feel most proud of when you look at your legacy?
It's coming up with a song. That's my pride, to be able to have a song. It's not an easy thing. And when I say a song, I mean a song that's got something to do in somebody's life. A song that turns somebody's life to be positive. That's what I call a song. Because there's a difference between a good composition and a good song.
So for you, just the creation of a song, and how many have you composed, Oliver?
Well, I've released 61 albums right now.
There you go. Wow. But the birth of each song for you
It's my pride. It's my pride.
What would you say to young artists watching right now who, I think that's a revelation in many ways, not just for musicians, but for anyone on a journey to succeed in life. But what's your message to young artists feeling it's hopeless, we can't get airplay, I believe I have a song, how can I sing my song?
I think we have to start from the beginning. Are you a singer, or are you somebody who's got something to do with music? Now, if you're able to identify yourself, who you are, what you're good at, and not what you want to be, but what you are, is most important. And you won't cry for an airplay, because an airplay is the tail end of the journey. You need to be proud of who you are, be identical, make sure what you're doing is not to impress, but is to heal, is to actually give life to the people. If your song is aimed at that, it is aimed to the right direction. Now, if you want to impress, yes, you'll always be secondary, because you are likely to do either you take elements from what you have heard before, what you have seen, and you try, and you'll always be like somebody else. And in that sense, where is you?
Wow, be authentic, just be you. And
Exactly.
if you're prioritizing other things, then you're going to miss the boat.
And if artists can take it as life, not as a career, because if you're doing it for money, you'll be disappointed. If you're doing it for fame, you'll be disappointed. It's not about that. It's about healing the people. If you touch your heart, you get appreciated, which is a better thing than to be paid.
Let's move away and we'll come back to how you feel when you perform and how you feel when you touch people through song. But first, let's talk a little bit about African leadership and the African citizenry. What would you most like to see embodied in the African leadership of today?
Self-discipline, like I said. That's my fight. If we are all self-disciplined enough to respect the next person, everything will just fall into place.
I'm going to ask you for the African citizenry. Is it the same thing?
Yeah, same thing. Because as an artist, I'm talking to you right now, and I'm lifting my Zimbabwean flag. And this flag covers Zimbabweans, including politicians. And when a politician lifts his flag, it represents a certain class of people, not everyone. So our role as artists is to actually mold your culture, mold who you are, and represent them, be a mirror of them.
There are many expectations when it comes to politics in Africa. You have kept away from discussing politics. Do you feel like Africans are able to tell their story, or do you feel what some people say, that we still are harping on the West's agenda, or we still are searching for our own story? We don't know who we are. Where are we as Africans?
No, we really do know where we are. It's just that media concentrate on a handful of people, politicians. You don't concentrate on the people on the ground and talk about them. You are interested in politicians, which is about a handful of every nation. So if media can understand that politicians is under the artists, I think we'll be in the right direction.
When you say under the artists, you mean in terms of influence?
Influence and everything. Because artists are actually a mirror of the people. An artist reflects who the people are, reflects what kind of people are they. And politicians represents their own people.
Stay with the Africa Leadership Dialogues.
Let's talk about where Africa is today. There's a common narrative all over the place. Africa is rising. This is Africa's time. In many senses, we see changes happening. But what are your thoughts on where Africa is?
I think there's a positive change in Africa. If only you can identify that and talk more about that than the negativity. It looks like every media is interested in negativity, and they don't talk about the good that's coming out of Africa. But yes, Africa is coming up, yes.
What are the best things you think? What are for instance, the top 3 things you look at and within your soul feel, this is a great thing?
Talk about the art, because it represents the people. Be it music, drama, poetry, sculptures, visual arts, everything. It all shows the road where the nation is going. But nobody talks about it. You see? So if we do that, if we are self-disciplined enough to understand and respect the next people and not concentrate on the negativity, I think we'll portray a true Africa.
Let's take a look now about personal experience and personal journeys. And I know that you lost a son. A few years back, I also have lost a son and know the grief of going through that process. You, in a sense, through your song, have possibly tried to heal and communicate the feelings. What would you say to people who are undergoing a personal tragedy a journey that they feel is difficult, experiences they feel they cannot overcome. Having gone through what you've gone through, what would you say?
I think we all have to learn to live with it. We have to learn to live with it and to try and find a way of therapy to yourself. In my case, performing, being on stage was a kind of therapy to me, because I would imagine my son being on my side, and that would comfort me, or at least that would give me he left a responsibility for me to finish off what we had started.
Because you used to perform together.
We used to perform together and so on. And my latest album is called Sarawak, which means to be left on your own, to finish what we started.
And so the journey must continue.
The journey must continue. And I'm not sure whether I'll be able to accept it, but I'm learning to live with it.
And that is powerful.
Yes.
That is powerful. That is the way it is. Looking at Africa, there are some who say that the notion of one Africa is too idealistic. We are too different as a continent. We are so diverse. And some people don't hold on to the fact that there is one Africa, or there can be one Africa. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think we are interconnected at some level?
If it wasn't for greedy people who created boundaries which are not normal to us as Africans, I think would be in a better position. But because we were sort of divided by different people, the English took this part, the French took that, the Portuguese took that, and made them different colonies, and taught us to be that we are different. We are not like Zambians, we are not like Kenyans, we are not Zimbabweans, so you remain Zimbabwean. If it wasn't for that, I think we would have been in a better position. But because we're trying to get ourselves back together, art is getting through all those boundaries, and I'm here in Kenya today, and they take me as their own son, which is the thing that was supposed to be in the first place.
So we are, at the end of the day, if we look deep down inside, we are
the same, exactly.
And you're absolutely right. It's reflected in the embracing of our music, for instance, and of our arts. What would you say to governments in terms of there's this struggle to create regional blocks? There's some resistance to those blocks, and yet music, transcends all that.
Yes, I mean, governments are politicians, and the politicians still have some influence from outside that influence each country and so on. And it's difficult for them to actually make us unite, because there are elements that are breaking whatever unity they're trying to build. So, but art surpasses all those problems.
How do they then use art to start to break down?
They use it positively.
Barriers?
They're using it positively. Yes.
What advice do you have to young Africans? We've seen there's an African Youth March. It's people say it's either our greatest asset or our greatest threat. We've seen in certain places where, when conflicts are ignited, young people are used in those conflicts. What's your advice to young people who feel they cannot find their place, they cannot get a job, or they don't understand how to survive in this very difficult economic environment?
What I would say is God doesn't duplicate talent. It's you alone, and there'll never be a better you than you. So if whatever you're doing, if you do it, take it personal and try and discover yourself, find who you are and concentrate on who you are. You're not going to be used. Because you understand who you are, you understand the reason why you are on earth. God didn't bring you on earth to be used. He only uses you, himself, not somebody else. So if you understand who you are and do you'll never be used and will have a better future. since the youngsters are our future.
So just do you. And
You.
it comes back to authenticity.
Exactly.
What's your dream for Africa, Oliver?
Yeah, self-disciplined Africa.
Simple,
Simple.
straightforward.
Yes.
To wind up, I'd like you to look at the camera and give your message to the Africans watching this show. What do you want to leave them with? I suspect I know what it is, but what do you want to leave them with, thinking about and focusing on in the weeks and the months to come?
Well, I want Africa to maintain pride. I want Africa to be who we are, because there's no better African than an African. So let's be who we are, and we have no competition at all, because we are unique.
Just do you. There's no better African than an African. Need I say more? Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Stay with the Africa Leadership Dialogues.
Hello there. My name is Oliver Mtukudzi, a musician born of Zimbabwe. I'm so happy you're watching African Leadership Dialogue.
A man of few words, but the few words he does share speak volumes. Well, time now to hear from you. What are your views on the issues?
This week we asked you, what can African governments do to promote arts and talent as an economic activity? Marsh Flowers says, fight piracy so that artists can gain from their talents. Hamis Hamad says, African governments should support young talented artists who lack funds to expose them to the entire world.
Watching the Africa Leadership Dialogue from Mambazo. From my point of view, I believe that African governments should really use the educational system to promote, to discover, and to expose talent at an early age. With that, they will be able to manage this talent from that early age, and when this individual or this group of people grow up, they will be able to economically utilize their talent. Moreover, if the governments take time and put in financial assistance to the construction of, let's call them, cultural art centers in every county, I believe this would be a step forward to promoting creative arts and talent from the most basic level, and therefore we will grow this small talent to something much greater for the country.
To join our conversation, go to our G+ page, Africa Leadership Dialogues, on Facebook, Africa Leadership Dialogues, on Twitter, @AfricaLD, and on WhatsApp, send your video comments to +254 715 816 033.
Do keep your views coming in, and thank you very much for sharing them. Now, Africa's Top 10.
On Africa's Top 10 this week, we feature the most influential musicians on the continent. Starting us off at number 10 is Congolese soukous musician Kanda Bongoman. His solo career only started to take off after moving to Paris in 1979, where his music started to incorporate elements of the vibrant zouk music. He introduced the kwasa kwasa dance rhythm, where the hips move back and forth while the hands move to follow the hips. Kanda Bongoman still tours in Europe and in the United States. On July 2005, he performed at the Live 8 Africa Calling concert in Cornwall. Positioned at number 9 is Koffi Olomide. Born Antoine Christophe Agepa Mumba, Koffi Olomide is a Congolese soukous singer, dancer, producer and composer. In 1986, Koffi formed his band known as Katie Latte. He released the first album, Efrakata, towards the end of 2001. He also received 4 Kora Awards on a single night at the annual Kora Awards in South Africa for 2002 and 2003, including the award for Best African Artist. More recently, He has won the Kora Award for Best African Artist of the Decade. South African songstress Yvonne Chaka Chaka comes in at position 8. Famously known as the Princess of Africa, she has been at the forefront of South African popular music for 20 years and is known for songs like Thank You Mr. DJ, I Cry for Freedom, Makoti, Motherland, and the very popular Umkomboti, which was featured in the opening scene of the 2004 movie Hotel Rwanda. She is also UNICEF's Goodwill Ambassador against malaria and the Ambassador for Roll Back Malaria. Coming in at number 7 is Zimbabwean Oliver Mtukudzi, who has been in the industry for 3 decades, performing since 1977. With his husky voice, he has become the most recognized voice to emerge from Zimbabwe and cross over into the international scene. Oliver has released over 50 albums and has featured in several films. He has received over 20 musical awards and has earned a devoted following across Africa and beyond. Afropop singer and songwriter Salif Keita from Mali takes the number 6 slot. The golden voice of Africa stands out as a unique artist, having experienced rejection from family and his community due to his albinism. He is also a direct descendant of the founder of the Mali Empire. Keita chased his dreams in spite of the challenges, and his latest album, La Difference, is dedicated to the struggle of the world albino community. He is also the founder of the Salif Keita Global Foundation, a non-profit organization which advocates for the rights of social integration of the albino community and raises funds to provide them with free healthcare and educational services in the US, Africa, and around the world. Slotted in at number 5 is South Africa's Hugh Masekela, who is a world-renowned flugelhornist, trumpeter, band leader, composer, and singer. He began singing and playing piano as a child and took up playing trumpet at age 14. His solo career has spanned 5 decades and he has released over 40 albums and featured on countless more. He has worked with many great artists including Harry Belafonte, Dizzy Gillespie, Fela Kuti, Marvin Gaye, Herb Alpert, Paul Simon, Stevie Wonder, and the late Miriam Makeba. Taking the number 4 spot is Ladysmith Black Mambazo, the male choral South African sensation. The group was started by Joseph Shabalala in 1960 and later became one of South Africa's most prolific recording artists. Their releases have received gold and platinum disc honors. For over 50 years, the voices of Ladysmith Black Mambazo have married the intricate rhythms and harmonies of their native South African musical traditions to the sounds and sentiments of Christian gospel music. They rose to worldwide prominence as a result of singing with Paul Simon on his album Graceland and have won multiple awards, including 3 Grammy Awards. The group has now become a mobile academy, teaching people about South Africa and its culture. Vusi Sydney Mahlasela Kazwane comes in at number 3. Vusi is a Soto South African singer-songwriter. Born in 1965 in Pretoria, his music is generally described as African folk and he is often dubbed as the voice of South Africa. His work was an inspiration to many during the anti-apartheid movement. His themes include the struggle for freedom, forgiveness and reconciliation with enemies. Vusi has released 7 studio albums with Sony in South Africa and performed at Nelson Mandela's inauguration in 1994. His song, When You Come Back, was used as ITV's theme song for the World Cup coverage in 2010. In 2012, the Summer Awards honored Vusi with the Lifetime Achievement Award. At number 2 is Angelique Kidjo from Benin. This dancer, singer, songwriter, and activist is noted for her diverse musical influences which rove across boundaries, genres, and ethnicities, finding connections that link musical forms from every part of the world while still bonding closely with her own traditions. Time magazine has dubbed her Africa's premier diva, and she was the first woman to be listed among the 40 most powerful celebrities in Africa by Forbes magazine. She was appointed a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador in 2002. In 2008, she won a Grammy Award for Best Contemporary World Music Album and an NAACP Image Award for Outstanding World Music Album. At number 1 is Youssou N'Dour from Senegal. Ndu is a singer, percussionist, songwriter, composer, actor, businessman and a politician. He started to perform at the early age of 12 and won his first American Grammy Award in 2005. He started to perform at an early age of 12 and won his first American Grammy Award in 2005 in the Best Contemporary World Music Album category for his CD Egypt. He is currently Senegal's Minister of Tourism and Culture, having had a go at the presidency in the 2012 election. Rolling Stone once described him as perhaps the most famous singer alive in Senegal and much of Africa. And that's Africa's Top 10 this week.
It's been a fascinating show and we've been honored to host Oliver Mtukudzi on the Africa Leadership Dialogues. We leave you with a quote from Nelson Mandela on music. And he said, "The curious beauty about African music is that it uplifts even as it tells a sad story." Blessings to you and blessings to Africa.